You can race on pretty much any bike, and with modern endurance bikes adopting a lot of features from their racier counterparts, the definition of a race bike is certainly starting to become blurry. Threaded bottom brackets, more tyre clearance, aero features and concealed cables, these are all commonplace on modern race bikes. But what's next? Here are some features that I think we'll see on more race bikes in 2026. Now, not all of these are new features, but I'd love to see them more widely adopted by the bike industry on the whole. After all, they'll just make race bikes even better. In 2026, I think we're going to see more frames and components being developed that are designed to work with a rider on board. Things like Factor's new radical-looking aero bike or Ribble's ultra-aero handlebars are really good examples of bike brands factoring in the person on the bike when tuning the aerodynamics, rather than just looking at the bike in isolation. For example, Trek even admits that its latest Madone Gen 8 handlebars create more drag on their own than the previous Gen 7 bars, but when measured in conjunction with a rider pedaling behind them, the wake behind the bigger bars reduces the aerodynamic drag on the rider's legs, making for a faster package overall. A lot of brands test bikes with mannequins on board, that's nothing new, but actually ripping up the rulebook and designing bikes and components from the ground up as a full system, I think is the next step. I don't think I'm alone in saying that most bikes look better with a fully slammed stem and no spacers. But you know what looks even better than a bike with a slammed front end? Fitting to your bike properly, getting faster and winning bike races. Professional cyclists and amateurs alike are starting to come around to the fact that a higher stack height could be faster. More and more riders are throwing out the old mentality of just slam your stem in favour of running some spacers to raise their bars up, meaning they can adopt and crucially sustain a more aerodynamic position with horizontal forearms that reduce your frontal area. So if a higher front end could be faster and ego-heavy racing cyclists just love slamming their stems, will we start seeing race bikes released with higher stack height to allow the best of both worlds? This could be a way off, and maybe 2026 is too soon for what is quite a radical shift in mindset, but there are examples out there. Dutch semi-pro cyclist and engineer Arne Peters has seen this trend coming and designed his own bike, the Morpheus Repit, a super up-to-date aero bike with a much taller head tube that suits this more modern thinking on rider position. Will we see mainstream brands come around to this way of thinking, or will racers be running stacks of spacers from now on? Only time will tell. Brands spend thousands of hours and probably millions designing bikes to be as slippery as possible, only to then sell them to everyday cyclists who, understandably, want to hang a saddlebag off them, clamp a big old rear light on the seat post and throw a cylindrical bottle in the cage. Surely there's a better way. We're already seeing more and more race bikes coming with integrated accessories to keep the bikes as aerodynamic as they were intended to be. Little things like Scott's neat integration of the rear light on the seat post of the aerodynamic foil, or BMC's AeroCar bottle cages that are designed to smooth out the airflow between the down tube and the bottle, to bigger things like Trek's full TT-style Madone bottles that are designed in conjunction with the bike to save 1.8 watts at 35 kilometers an hour over a round bottle. One thing I think we're definitely going to be seeing more of though is internal frame storage. Already popular in the endurance and gravel bike scene, Factor's Monza race bike is one of the first examples of an aero-optimised bike coming with storage inside the frame, meaning there's no need for a saddlebag and the sleek silhouette of the bike can be preserved while still being able to carry your spares. Like it or not, internal cables and brake hoses are here to stay. With the latest Giant TCR finally adopting internal brake hoses, there are very few bikes left out there with the hoses still exposed to the wind. In fact, there aren't many new endurance or gravel bikes with exposed brakes, and we're even seeing mountain bikes with headset-routed cables coming to market. Whilst this does increase the aerodynamics of a bike, it also increases the amount of time and, frankly, faff to complete a simple workshop job like changing a headset bearing. What was previously a simple 10-minute job that could be done at home, a headset bearing swap now requires a whole afternoon in the workshop, new handlebar tape, even brake hoses in some cases. It does look cool, in my opinion, but is it really worth it? I think headset-routed hoses have been around for long enough now that brands can't be too far away from finding a way to route them elsewhere, keeping the headset bearings easily serviceable and ultimately saving riders money in the long term. The previous generation of the Cannondale Super 6 Evo was along the right lines. It had a cavity built into the frame at the front of the head tube, which routed the hoses internally without needing to put them through the headset bearing, although this did necessitate a steering block and a pretty bulky front end. But their latest model has arguably taken a step backwards, instead routing the hoses alongside the narrower Delta steerer tube through both the upper and lower headset bearings in the name of a slimmer, more aerodynamic front end. The latest Cervelo S5 and Colnago Y1 RS bikes are halfway there, with the front brake hose being routed through the front of the bayonet fork rather than through the headset bearings. But I want to see someone finally crack this. For example, the specialised Tarmac SL8 with its oversized speed sniffer head tube that is, aside from being aerodynamically efficient, effectively redundant space, could surely be engineered to house the brake hoses, bypassing the need to go through the headset bearings. Just think, we could have the best of both worlds, integrated hoses and maintenance-friendly headsets. One by is a really divisive equipment choice. Some people love it, some people hate it. I think it has a really valid place in bike races, and the success of riders on Visma Lease a Bike goes some way to proving that. The aerodynamic benefits of a 1x system are great, but further boosted when a frame can be engineered specifically for a 1x drivetrain. Cervelo's latest S5 has an off-the-peg build available with a 1x13 SRAM Red Axis Explore drivetrain, which is cool, but the frame is exactly the same as the 2x model. With the advent of 13-speed drivetrains and things like Classified's internal gear system, 1x is more usable than ever. The infamous 3T Strada was a bike originally designed entirely around 1x, but was perhaps a bit ahead of its time and limited by the drivetrains available back then. Independent UK brand Viello produces bikes specifically for 1x drivetrains, boasting claims of increased aerodynamic efficiency, lateral stiffness, and simpler setups. Drivetrains have come on leaps and bounds in just the last couple of years alone, so is it time we start seeing frame manufacturers follow suit and produce frames specifically for 1x drivetrains? What do you think we're going to see on the race bikes of tomorrow? Let me know in the comments below. And while you're down there, remember to click like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon so you get notified every time we upload a new video. What about hookless rims? Will we see more of those? Josh Porter doesn't seem to think so. Simon's analysed his thoughts in a video that you can watch